A few years ago, people started posting stories online that didn't sound excited, they didn't sound enlightened, they didn't sound like they were trying to convince anyone of anything. They sounded scared.
I felt like something was watching me. I couldn't sleep afterward, not for weeks. I stopped immediately because I felt something very wrong.
What's strange is that none of these people were telling ghost stories. They weren't describing dreams, and they weren't talking about drugs. They were all describing the same thing, something they deliberately tried to do. Over the last decade, a growing number of people have been experimenting with an idea that sounds simple on paper, that consciousness itself can be used as a signal. The idea is that if you focus hard enough, calmly enough, something non-human might notice. And for most people, nothing happens. But for some, something does. This idea didn't come out of nowhere. It's closely tied to the work of Stephen Greer, a former emergency room doctor who spent decades advocating for public disclosure of extraterrestrial life. Greer believes that advanced non-human intelligences aren't hostile, and that contact doesn't require technology. According to him, it requires intention. The practice he popularized is known as CE5, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. The idea is that humans can initiate contact through meditation, emotional calm, and focused awareness. No summoning, no force, no danger. In fact, Greer has been very clear about this. CE5, according to him, is supposed to be safe, which is why the stories you're about to hear are so unsettling. The CE5 process itself is surprisingly simple. There's no equipment, no machines, no rituals, and no special training required. Most people try it alone. It usually starts with meditation. The goal is to calm your thoughts, slow your breathing, and reach what practitioners describe as a coherent emotional state. According to Stephen Greer, fear, anger, or anxiety are supposed to block contact. Only calm intention is meant to work. Once that state is reached, the next step is visualization. Practitioners imagine their location from above, then farther out, the city, the country, the planet, almost like zooming out on Google Maps. The idea is to mentally broadcast where you are. Then comes the invitation. This part is usually silent. No words spoken out loud, just clear internal message. Asking any non-human intelligence that's listening to acknowledge you in some way. A light in the sky, a presence, any kind of response. That's it. There's no formal ending to the process, no closing statement, no way to confirm whether the invitation was received or ignored. Most guides simply suggest returning to normal awareness and going about your day. And for many people, that's exactly what happens. They meditate, they wait, and nothing occurs. No lights, no sensations, no response. But what's interesting is the stories we're focusing on don't come from people who saw nothing. They came from people who felt something change. A lot of them describe the same moment, not during the meditation itself, but shortly after. A sudden feeling of alertness, a sense that something shifted, as if the experience didn't end when the meditation stopped. Several people say they felt compelled to look outside. Others describe a strange unease that followed them into the night. Some say they couldn't sleep at all. What stands out is how often these accounts mention timing, not hours later, not days later, but almost immediately. And what stands out even more is how many of them say they weren't expecting fear. They weren't trying to summon anything dangerous. They weren't looking for a scare. They were looking for a process that's repeatedly described as peaceful, controlled, and safe, which raises an uncomfortable question. If CE5 works the way it's described, and intention really matters, then why do so many people describe the same uneasy aftermath? And why does the fear almost begin after the invitation has been made? One of those stories was posted on June 3rd, 2019 to Alien subreddit by a Reddit user who has since deleted their account under the title, So I've done CE5 meditation and I got scared. From the beginning, the post didn't read like a warning. It reads like someone who's excited, open-minded and hopeful. They describe getting back into meditation and even say that the idea of CE5 motivated them. They weren't afraid of contact, they were interested in it. Here's how they describe what happened next.
I've done CE5 meditation 3 days ago. I wasn't expecting much, but it got me back into meditation, and I would love to meet aliens, so it's kind of fuel for me to meditate. 2 nights ago, I was in bed and I felt my breathing going wild. I couldn't leave. It's not my first time going through sleep paralysis. I do extremely vivid lucid dream every now and then, but I've never heard something like that. I couldn't open my eyes, and there were these footsteps just beside me, like loud, house-shaking kind of steps. I felt a presence even though I couldn't see. I felt something in front of me. For the first time in my life, I got scared in sleep paralysis. I woke myself up as I needed to take a break. I immediately regretted waking up. I was so close to go through it. I hope I didn't miss my chance. I tried to be open-minded and told myself, not right now, I'm freaking out. I'll do it in a better mindset.
What stands out here isn't just the fear, it's the contrast. This is someone who openly says they would love to meet aliens. Someone familiar with lucid dreaming and sleep paralysis. Someone who isn't easily startled by altered states. And yet they describe this moment as the first time they've ever been scared during one. Another story appears several years later, this time on Our Experiences. It was posted on April the 18th, 2024 by another deleted account. Under the thread, CE5, I bit the bullet and got a reply. Unlike the previous post, this one is written in real time. The author makes it clear that they've been trying CE5 repeatedly without success, and that what happens next catches them completely off guard.
So I tried it. It worked. I did 2 different meditation videos and nothing happened, but later, around 2 a.m. to 3 a.m., I was starting to drift off. But I was thinking repeatedly, please help us, we need you. There was heavy pressure on the top of my head and a hot feeling, and a voice that sounded like it was coming through a shitty old-time radio came through. It said, all right. I panicked and sat up. I'm not used to hearing another voice inside my head. I tried to get the voice to come back, but it didn't. I've been feeling something touch my arm and hand as I drift off for the last few weeks. It's a little scary, but it feels comforting. I just wanted to share my story.
And in both of these stories, there's a shared moment that's easy to overlook. Neither experience happens during the meditation itself. They happen afterward, while drifting off, while lying in bed, when the person thinks the experience is over. That's the pattern that keeps showing up. No contact on demand. Not a controlled interaction, but something that happens later, when the person isn't prepared for it. As CE5 discussions spread beyond UFO forums, they began appearing in communities focused on altered states and consciousness exploration. One of those was the 2024 thread on Gateway Tapes titled, "Has anyone tried CE5? How was your experience?" In the replies, a user posting under the name Utopia Ecstasy shared something that they said had never happened to them before. They weren't describing a vision, they weren't describing a sighting, they were describing fear. Here's what they wrote.
For some reason, I keep doing it despite all the negative things I read online. I've had so many times where I feel as if something is watching me, and I'm in such insane fear I can't fall asleep after doing CE5. Something I'm trying to get over and to continue further in. I invited all well-meaning non-human entities to demonstrate their existence. If I knew of this realm for sure, I could better love myself and others around me, to overall help everyone even more. A few hours later, I proceeded to have 4 separate sleep paralysis episodes. Never in my life have I had this. Can't think of a time I've ever been in this state, and some insanely vivid lucid dreams. I was so terrified and kept falling into these loops. I was trying to scream and move, but I couldn't, as something was there with me and fucking with me. Different situations and different experiences in each episode, but all were terrifying. During the final episode, when something began applying pressure to my back, as if it were pushing me out of my body. I was just screaming in my head. Things like, "I no longer wish to make contact with the NHI tonight." And I kept screaming for them to stop in my head, and it instantly did.
This is someone who kept going even after reading warnings, even after feeling fear, someone who genuinely believed that they were reaching out for something positive, something healing. They described their intention clearly: love, understanding, and the hope of becoming a better person. And what they described wasn't curiosity or awe, it's panic, loss of control, and the feeling of being trapped inside their own body. Another story takes a very different turn. About a year ago, a Reddit user named Anarchist1331 shared their experience in a CE5 related thread. They described being at a low point in their life and looking for something meaningful. Not contact, not proof, just something. They admit they don't remember every detail of the protocol, just the intention behind it.
I was at a sort of low point in my life and I was looking for something. I came across CE5 meditations. I don't remember much of the details of the meditation process, but something to the effect of you spatially locate yourself in the universe and you project nothing but feelings of joy, love, and acceptance. Then you reach out asking to see something, communicate with something. I can't remember. Anyway, I was having a very, very powerful meditation session with it. I literally felt like I was buzzing or vibrating. It felt incredible. Then, a lightning bolt struck very, very close to my house. It was insanely loud, scared the piss out of me. I didn't hear any more lightning or thunder, which seemed odd, seeing as one just struck very close. I went outside to look at the storm and it was 100% a clear blue sky. I was shook. I figured that was enough for me. I'll be just a nuts and bolts guy. Call me a puss. But it is what it is. I don't need that kind of power.
What makes this story unsettling isn't whether the lightning had a normal explanation. It's the timing. A moment described as euphoric, a sense of vibration, and then something sudden, violent, and completely out of place. Whatever it was enough. They stopped. Some of the most disturbing stories don't involve sightings at all. In a long Our Experiences discussion titled, "Has anyone tried CE5? How was your experience with CE5? Do you think there's any similarity to gateway tapes?" A commenter named Drunvallow shared a short response that stood out because of how final it sounded.
While reaching out to the others with mind and intention, I passed out or lost consciousness. Next thing I know, I opened my eyes and I'm inches away from a typical grey face. All I could see were its eyes. Then I saw a dancing light in the back of its eyes. What followed was a sensation of falling into its eyes. Next thing I know, I'm tiny-sized on the now immense landscape that is my bed. For some reason, I was laughing and it was like a game. I kept thinking to myself, so long as I hid behind my covers or the pillows, it wouldn't see me, I would be okay. I don't remember doing the affirmations. It's really difficult for me to fall asleep even when I'm in a deep meditative state. Chances are that I fell asleep and it was a dream, but man, it was weird.
There's no panic here, only disorientation. A sense that reality briefly rearranged itself and then quietly put everything back. And even as the writer tries to explain it away as a dream, the hesitation at the end suggests they're not fully convinced that it was. By this point, the pattern isn't about what people see, it's about what they don't feel afterward. Comfort, control, distance. By this point, it's natural to start looking for explanations. Sleep paralysis is a well-documented phenomenon. It can involve pressure on the chest, the feeling of a presence, and intense fear. Meditation, especially one done late at night or drifting to sleep, can blur the line between waking and dreaming. Expectation also plays a role. When someone spends their time reading about CE5, about contact, about consciousness acting as a signal, their mind is primed. Sensations that might normally be ignored can suddenly feel significant. And none of that is controversial. In fact, many of the people who share these stories acknowledge this themselves. They openly question whether what they experienced was psychological, stress-related, or coincidental. What's interesting is that even when they say that, the fear doesn't seem to disappear. Several users specifically mentioned that knowing there might be an explanation didn't make them feel better, it didn't make them want to try again, and it didn't restore the sense of control they felt before. But that's the part that's harder to dismiss. Because CE5 isn't presented as something chaotic or risky, it's presented as structured, intentional, safe, as long as the person remains calm and grounded. Yet the stories that linger aren't about people losing control during the meditation. They're about people that lose their sense of comfort afterward, feeling watched, feeling unsettled in familiar spaces, feeling like something continued when they were done. And for some, the sense that something continued didn't happen while they were awake at all. It emerged in the space between sleep, meditation, and consciousness itself. In a comment in the thread titled, "Strange Experience After CE5 Meditation," Fantastic Fee 7438 mentions,
While I was dreaming, my whole body began vibrating with a low electric buzz charge. As the vibration gained in intensity, the outline of a grey began materializing in front of me, in the same glowing blue spectrum as a UAP I'd seen. The big eyes were darker blue, the body lighter blue, etc., becoming less static, fuzzy, and more clear as the electric charge filling my body increased in intensity. It was just a few feet in front of me, staring into my eyes. In the dream, a couple of friends were standing near, and I was calmly explaining that the higher the vibration, the more clearly the beings could be seen. As the literal and ontological shock became too much, I woke up, literally jolted me awake. My body was still vibrating with what felt like being shocked for several seconds after I woke up. I've honestly hesitated to raise my vibrational energy since then, and I'm a little spooked to get back into meditation, partaking of psychedelics, etc. again. Things I know are good for me. I do not really want to have a close face-to-face with a grey or whatever they really are, if I can help it. Not saying this is the right approach, just where I am currently.
If contact is happening primarily through the astral or inner space, through altered states, dreams, and heightened awareness, then it makes sense that the evidence sounds like imagination. Because what's being engaged isn't our environment, but our consciousness itself.